So today we're going to talk about identifying critical content. And we're going to focus on using storytelling to cue critical content. So I want you all to tell me, what are some of the common mistakes teachers make when using storytelling to cue critical content?
The story does not interest students.
Okay, so elaborate on that.
If a teacher wants to use a story, use a story that is like use a story to grab the student's attention.
Yeah. So like,
Such as if I have a classroom full of students and most majority is boys, I will have a story about sports,
football and stuff.
Different
like
kinds of sports, basketball.
and if I have girls, I know not all girls are into like nails and stuff. I will walk up and ask the student, what would you like to read, or do you want an article about what you're interested in?
Books that grab kids' attention will be the best books they like to read.
Yeah.
And it is a time to
And it's a tie to
the critical content.
the critical context.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else on that? All right, good job. So tell me, what is another common mistake that teachers may not realize that they make when using storytelling to cue critical content?
The story is too long or complex for students to understand.
Okay, so expound more on that.
It's like, okay, you could be reading a story with students and stuff like that, and like it just like a long passage. Like students just get out task, act up, behavior issues, get kicked out of class. The teacher get out topic.
So what could happen from that? Like if a teacher get off task, or if the story is too long for the students to understand.
It won't even be interesting no more. Like,
Okay, and what are some of the things that can happen from that?
Kicked out of
either,
class.
yeah,
Confusion.
Okay, you can be confused, you can get kicked out of class. Anything else? Like, would you want to do the assignment?
yeah, no, you don't.
Okay,
You don't do it.
because what? You don't.
You don't comprehend. You don't comprehend it.
Okay, all right. So what needs to happen in that case? Like, if the story is too long or too complex, like, what do you think the teacher needs to do?
On the love story.
Yeah, find an interesting story like for the kids and stuff.
A short story.
Short passage.
With
With that explaining lesson.
Okay. All right, so when they're explaining the lesson, they need to focus more on a shorter story instead of...
Bigger passages, like
longer stories that get you off topic.
don't need interest in you.
Okay, so when a teacher is telling you something like an experience they had previously that relates to the story, you want it to be shorter and interesting. Okay, I'll take that. All right, so lastly, what is another common mistakes that you think that teachers may not realize they're making a common mistake when it comes to using storytelling to, cue critical content?
When the teacher's story or the story we're reading doesn't relate, or the critical content isn't about what we're learning about, and it gets you.
So explain that, like when it's not about what
Like,
you're...
You remember the story Jack and Jill?
Okay.
They went up the hill to get a pail of water, and
Okay.
then something throws it off topic about
Like,
going somewhere else,
like a
doing something
basketball
else that
game.
doesn't relate to the story what we're reading about.
Okay.
You see the generator walking the floor.
Yeah, it's off topic.
That's off topic.
Okay, so the teachers need to stay on topic. And what about being interested? Do they need to, which I know you already talked about that earlier, it needs to interest?
It needs to pull the kids into the story and make them feel like they can walk in the character's shoes and understand the story more better.
But if the teacher use like if they use a projector and projecting on the screen on the board, like students will when they reading the story, pictures, captions, dates. If students see those in the story, they use those as supporting detail, and they will start like paying attention more to if they see pictures or color, because they say color some colors attract students to pay attention more.
Okay. Yeah.
not always the teacher has to relate to the story. It can also be students that has experienced those things what the story is telling them to.
Or it can be a fellow classmate, or it can be a principal or a assistant principal.
Okay. So you know, the teacher doesn't have to do all the talking sometimes. What you're saying is sometimes the students can relate to the story.
The better you understand the story, the more you'll get better at reading and answering and passing off the tests you need to.
Sometimes students learn. Is it true that sometimes students can learn from other students too?
Yes.
Is it better like when we're trying to use background knowledge to teach a lesson? Is it better to put you all in groups to do that so you can probably collaborate
with others and use more brains? The more brains you use, the more powerful reading is.
Because in the group you have more help. So if the teacher explaining and you don't comprehend, you can have a fellow student to help you out.
Okay. Good job. Is there anything else you would like to say?
No.
All right. Thank you.